You train for months, you make weight, you walk out in front of thousands, you fight. And then, it's like it never happens.
It's extraordinary. Can't play with this.
The recent heavyweight title fight between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane ended in the most hollow way possible. An accidental eye poke, a fighter who couldn't see, a referee waving it off. Not a win, not a loss, a no contest. The entire sport just deflated in an instant. But this isn't a new kind of heartbreak. The UFC's history is littered with fights that were stolen from us. Fights that ended in controversy, in overturned results, in pure chaos. Today, we're counting down the 7 biggest no contests in UFC history. These are the fights that left fans furious, altered legacies, and changed the sport forever. Let's start with a fight that was over before most fans had even found their seats. Number 7, Yair Rodriguez vs Jeremy Stephens. This was a fight fans were desperate to see, a guaranteed all-out war between two of the featherweight division's most violent strikers. The hype was enormous. The main event in Mexico City for Yair, a Mexican hero. The bell rang, they touched gloves. 15 seconds later, it was over. Yair threw a probing finger forward, an accidental eye poke. Jeremy Stephens immediately recoiled, screaming in pain. He could not continue. The controversy started immediately. Was the poke bad enough to stop a fight? Fans and fighters debated it for weeks. Some argued Stephens was looking for a way out. Others said the pain was simply too much. The replay showed a direct shot to the eye, but the doubt remained. 15 seconds. All that build-up for 15 seconds of action. The crowd in Mexico City booed relentlessly. They threw drinks into the Octagon. The fighters had a heated confrontation backstage. A dream matchup turned into a nightmare in less time than it takes to tie your shoes. It was a massive letdown for the entire MMA world. Number 6, Dustin Poirier vs Eddie Alvarez. This was a firefight. Two of the best lightweights of all time swinging with bad intentions. The action was frantic. Poirier was getting the better of the exchanges. Then in the second round, Alvarez grabbed Poirier against the cage. Poirier's hands were on the mat, making him a grounded opponent. Alvarez unleashed a series of brutal knees directly to Poirier's head. Illegal shots. The referee stepped in, Poirier was furious and unable to continue. It should have been a disqualification win for Poirier, but the referee ruled the knees accidental. The fight was declared a no contest. Poirier was robbed of a victory he seemed well on his way to earning. The injustice fueled their rivalry, leading to a rematch where Poirier finished Alvarez definitively.
On this one here. So, can you see what's going on here? You landed a shot, it looked like you had a hand down, you landed a second one, and then look at this one. That one was clearly illegal, the last one.
Number 5, Leon Edwards vs Belal Muhammad 1. Leon Edwards was on a tear, an 8-fight win streak. He was one victory away from a title shot he had deserved for years. Belal Muhammad was on a 5-fight streak, looking to steal that opportunity. Just 18 seconds into the second round, Edwards threw a straight left. His fingers went directly into Muhammad's eye. Muhammad collapsed in agony. He was screaming, "I can't see, I can't see." The fight was over. A no contest. For Edwards, it was a disaster. His path to the title was delayed for over a year. For Muhammad, it was a brutal and unfair ending to his own championship aspirations. The foul created a bitter rivalry that culminated years later when Muhammad finally beat Edwards for the welterweight title.
Oh my goodness.
Number 4, Anderson Silva vs Nick Diaz. A dream fight. Two of the most iconic and unpredictable strikers in the sport's history. They fought for 5 full rounds. Silva won a unanimous decision. The legacy of the Spider seemed restored after his horrific leg break. Then the drug results came in. Silva tested positive for 2 banned anabolic steroids. Nick Diaz famously tested positive for marijuana. The result was overturned to a no contest. The dream fight was exposed as a sham. Silva's reputation took a massive hit. The entire spectacle was tarnished, leaving fans to wonder what they had actually watched that night. Now, the top 3. Number 3, Brock Lesnar vs Mark Hunt. UFC 200, the biggest event of the year. The return of the colossal Brock Lesnar. He fought Mark Hunt in a co-main event that felt like a main event. Lesnar won a dominant decision. He looked like a monster. But he was, in the most literal sense. Lesnar failed his drug test. He tested positive for clomiphene. His win was turned to a no contest. He was fined $250,000. This exposed a major loophole in UFC drug testing. Lesnar was not in the testing pool before his short notice fight, allowing him to cycle off PEDs undetected. Mark Hunt was never paid his full purse and became an outspoken critic of the UFC's PED policies. He felt cheated out of a fair fight, and he was right. Number 2. Jon Jones versus Daniel Cormier 2. This was the peak of the greatest rivalry in MMA history. Their first fight was a war. The second was supposed to be the finale. At UFC 214, Jon Jones knocked out Daniel Cormier with a devastating head kick in the 3rd round. He reclaimed the light heavyweight title. He stood over his rival and proclaimed his victory. For 3 weeks, Jon Jones was the king. Then the news broke. Jones had tested positive for turinabol, an anabolic steroid, in a test taken after the weigh-ins. The knockout was erased, the title was stripped, the win was overturned to a no contest. Daniel Cormier was reinstated as champion. The entire epic conclusion to their feud was wiped from the record books. It was the most deflating moment in the sport's history. The victory wasn't just overturned, the story itself was stolen from us. Number 1. Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane, UFC 321. Why is this number 1? Because it contains all the elements of a perfect storm of disappointment. It was a heavyweight title fight, the most prestigious belt in combat sports. The stakes could not have been higher. It was one of the most anticipated fights of the year, and it ended in the first round, not with a knockout, not with a submission, with an accidental eye poke from Ciryl Gane that left Tom Aspinall unable to see. This wasn't a result overturned weeks later in a lab. This happened live in front of a global audience. We all watched the champion, the toughest man in the division, writhing in pain on the canvas. The frustration was instant and universal. The main event was over before it began. The entire heavyweight division was put on hold. For its sheer immediacy, its high stakes, and the collective groan it produced from every single fan, Aspinall vs. Gane sits at the top of this infamous list. It is the freshest wound, and a brutal reminder that in a sport of controlled violence, sometimes the most damaging blow is a complete accident.
Yeah, sort of dug in there.
That left one was the worst. I was looking at the right eye.
These fights prove that sometimes the most memorable moments in the UFC are the ones that never officially happened. They leave us with questions. What if that eye poke never landed? What if that drug test came back clean? The what ifs are almost as painful as the results themselves. Which no contest stung you the most? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If you want more deep dives into the UFC's most chaotic moments, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got plenty more stories to tell. Thanks for watching.